certainly obviously bat first, but good pacey delivery from Fidel Edwards, who we mentioned has been very much in the wickets this season.
I think they probably just got a bit excited. It's difficult to tell on this line, but probably just got a bit excited. They probably saw the ball reverse a fraction.
Yeah. So earlier Hampshire 118 all out, not too much to shout about from the visitors' point of view in that innings. 5 wickets for Simon Harmer as Edwards bowls, and this time Lawrence squeezes it away off an open face, a little bit involuntary. He's going to get 2 down towards third man. It will be dragged in by Crane, who hasn't bowled yet, and the throw comes back to Alsop. He kept it to ground there, but just a jerk of the head from Lawrence suggests he wasn't completely in control with the direction of that stroke. He's gone to 18, 12 to Bopara, 91 for 3, and deficit now is 27.
Yeah, I think unlike the ball before, I think that one just held its line a fraction.
Yeah.
That's probably where the thick outside edge came from. Richard Shelley at Solent Sports says struggling to work out why after how many overs of the 36, but this was a little bit earlier, so 36 gone now. So why haven't Hampshire bowled Mason Crane, considering that Harmer took 5 for 23 in the first innings? Another strange decision in a day of many strange calls from Hampshire. I think really the seamers have done such a good job. I think the trouble is with a leg spinner is that and not just Mason, but with any leg spinner, it might take 2 or 3 overs just to get going. It might be 2 or 3 overs where it takes the pressure off Essex all of a sudden, whereas actually the seamers have kept the pressure on. I think these two have played particularly well, the 2 batsmen out in the middle, to sort of repel Hampshire. But I think Hampshire feel at the moment that all the seamers are performing well. None of them are conceding any runs. Look like taking a wicket. So why would you want to change that? I think that's really what it's come down to. But if you just look at it in cold hard facts of the day, you see one spinner's taken 5 for 23. Why hasn't the other spinner come into the attack? I mean, that's probably a difficult one to argue when you're just looking at, a score sheet.
Yeah, as Abbott up to the wicket, coming on from the river end, bowls a delivery outside the leg stump. Bopara misses out on the leg glance, and there's no run. 91 for 3 in reply to Hampshire's 118 all out. Yes, it could also be a bit of a pressure release, particularly with the likes of Ravi Bopara, who's pretty good against spin, and they don't want to release the pressure, which is still there. Bopara started well, but has just been slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, Is who's going to sort of crack first here, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Abbott bowling, and that one, Bopara gets a full-length delivery which he just squeezes out of his pads before it wraps into them. And there was a thought that might be a potential LBW shot, but he got bat on it.
Kept low, didn't it?
Yeah, just had to literally dig it out, and sometimes you do get a bit of variable bounce. We haven't seen much of that today, and could become a factor as the game goes on. 91 for 3, Essex being made to work for these runs. As Abbott bowls again, and this time Bopara just gets into line and plays it up towards short cover, and there's no addition to the score, which stays 27 adrift of the Hampshire total from earlier.
So we've had, what, an hour and 50 minutes since tea?
Yeah, and how many overs have we had in innings? We've now got 37th over of the innings, so scoring rate's really been pegged back.
So I'm just trying to work out how many runs have been scored in that hour and 50.
Abbott bowls and get right behind this one. Bopara playing it back down the pitch, and there's no run. Essex really playing this to test match tempo, doing it well.
54 runs?
Yeah.
In that hour and 50?
It's been a different story, because pre-tea there were 1 or 2 scoring opportunities which Brown particularly took advantage of, whereas post-tea the boundaries have been very, very scarce, haven't they? Rousseau made 34 before he rather gave his wicket away. North East 18 and Donald 25. The only other double figure score was Abbott's 10, as Abbott as a bowler comes in to bowl outside the off stump, and Bopara leaves it alone, and then almost sort of a bit of self-admonishment, it seems, but there's no need to. But he's something troubled him about that delivery. He's reacted to it, but he's now just there, sort of on his haunches, waiting for Abbott to walk back to his mark. 5 for 23, Simon Harmer. Another tremendous performance in this season, which is sort of again threatening to emulate the 2017 season, particularly in terms of his record on this ground. Brightness on the horizon as Abbott bowls, and Bopara pushes up into the offside and calls Lawrence through for a single. It's a good rotation of the strike when they can. It came off the last ball of the over. It took Bopara along to 13. Lawrence is 18. It's 92 for 3, and they're 26 behind.
I've got a couple of figures here for bowling spells since tea. Fuller 6 overs 2 maidens 1 for 8. Barker 9 overs 2 maidens. Sorry, 9 overs 2 for 14.
Yes, and Barker's second spell really was very good indeed, because not just the wickets but the fact that he was troubling the batsman as well. And there was a few plays and misses, a few other good shouts, and it was very impressive indeed. So it's going to be Edwards to continue. 7 overs for 24. He's got 2 slips and a gully. Now we've got mid-wicket. That's Barker being sent back to deep mid-wicket. We've got a mid-on, a mid-off, a cover and a backward point, and there'll be a fine leg just out of our sight. He's actually just come into our sight now, and that's Russo. So here is Edwards up to the wicket from the Hayes close end. There's a peel here, presumably for caught behind, as that one saw Bopara just stretching for that one outside the off stump, and also went up with a shout. Not so much from the bowler, but he was keen.
Yeah, he just have swung away from Bopara a fraction. I think I just got the feeling there he was just back on his heels a fraction. Whether he thought that was going to be a short delivery or not, I don't know.
So Bopara defending a very good average at the moment. He's in a good season, averaging 65.5. Just the 1 century to date, but he's scored consistently. And he's facing Edwards, who moves in from the Hayes close end and bowls to him. It's outside the off stump, and he has no requirement to play at that, and therefore chooses not to. And Essex just eking out these overs at the moment. We've got 10 to go after this.
Peter Hartley, the umpire's telling Edwards to get off the wicket.
Yeah, second time he's done that. Could be something he's got to watch out for. Earlier we had so Adam Wheater's now back in the Essex side. Will Battleman therefore not required in this game, but it's been an amazing rotation of Essex keepers, with Michael Pepper involved as well. Of course, all this in the season after James Foster left. 92 for 3. Hopefully Wheater now fully restored, and this is played nicely by Bopara off the back foot, but straight down to Crane at backward point. And I think, yes, that point about Crane, it's just the risk of the pressure release at this stage, in a way that they'll be hoping that the seamers can do a job in this first Essex innings, and it might be that they don't need to bowl Crane too much, but again he could come off and might be effective, particularly later on against some of the lower order batsmen who tend to struggle against leg spin. You'd think Bopara would be one of the more proficient players against him. I'm sure we'll see him tomorrow, if not tonight, as this one is clipped nicely by Bopara off his pads, just for a single out towards Barker at deep mid-wicket. But he plays that shot very well, Bopara, just clipping it away just in front of square on the onside. Gets himself another run. He's along there to 14, and it's 93 for 3 in the 38th over.
Just trying to work out if Crane might bowl tonight, because there's 10 overs left. Fuller's bowled a 6 over spell since tea, so I suppose there's probably another 2 or 3 overs there if they want him. Edwards is into his 8th. Barker and Abbott have both bowled 12.
Yep,
and had spells since tea. So I don't know. Crane might yet have a couple of overs tonight.
Just getting a bit brighter as Edwards bowls. That's too wide of the off stump to tempt Lawrence into a stroke, but Lawrence showing admirable concentration here. He's and indeed, it's interesting that we mentioned a little while ago that Bopara was scoring at twice Lawrence's rate. In fact, the two are virtually evened out now, because Bopara's found run scoring a lot more difficult in the last half hour, and after having got his first 10 pretty quickly, he's just found it a little bit tougher since. 93 for 3, still got the fairground going on in the background, as Edwards bowls too wide of the off stump and Lawrence is not having to offer a shot. The end of the over was 14 to Bopara and 18 to Lawrence. Useful little partnership taking shape here, and 93 for 3 is the score, with Brown 31, Cook 15 and Wesley 8, the men to have gone.
Yeah, no, these two are playing in it exactly the right way, aren't they? They're scoring at 2.5 and over or something like that. It doesn't seem to matter really. It's about this period of play. That's the more important one, these next 10 overs. And if these Essex 2 can see it out, I think psychologically tonight, I think it just gives Essex a slight upper hand.
Yeah, well, that's very much so, yes. As Abbott moves into bowl, that's outside the off stump. But Bopara went some way forward to meet that, and in the end checked out of playing any stroke at it. But it has been whereas arguably Hampshire's bowling before tee, where they're having issues with the swing and weren't quite making the batsmen play enough. It wasn't what they would have quite wanted. Since tee, it's been much more along the lines of what they would hope to produce with this 4-man seam attack. And they have caused problems, but Essex, after losing 3 quick wickets, have since resisted well. These two have now added 29 as this is driven.
Sure.
Nice stroke, away for 4, beats mid-on, and that will just release the pressure a little bit. Slightly over pitch from Abbott, and Bopara, who's just slowed down in his scoring of late, was able to beat the dive there of Edwards at mid-on and gets a very valuable boundary. These two have said it's been hard work. They've taken 13 overs over this partnership, but that's a little bit of a pressure release, and it takes a score to 97 for 3.
Well, they've been batting for 55 minutes, these two, which is a great effort. I think when Hampshire took Cook, Brown and Wesley within about a 22-minute period, and they would have felt that there was more wickets there, the way they were bowling and the way things were going.
Might have to wait till the morning at the stage as Abbott bowls, and that's pushed up into the offside, and there's a flick throw thought of by Barker, but he realises that the two batsmen are going to be home. Bopara is particularly quick, and there's no particular benefit in releasing the ball. Cloud cover breaking up, maybe more blue sky than any stage during the day, and so generally the forecast is good now for the rest of the game. How much playing time we'll need, I suspect that if we're playing on Wednesday, Hampshire will have had a very good second innings, but we shall see. 98 for 3.
I'm looking at the amount of overs. We could be playing till 7 o'clock here.
Could be, because it's taken quite a long time to bowl these overs without any spin. 2 slips from the gully as Abbott bowls, and that's awkward delivery, which sees Lawrence just withdraw a hand as he plays a defensive stroke, as if that one just bounced unpredictably at him. He's gone to prod the pitch.
That's the length that Abbott is causing a few problems. It brings the batsman forward. It's short of a length, so some of them are bouncing like that one did there, and it hits high on the bat. Sometimes, if it's just a fraction shorter, it just sort of comes off a bit puddingy, really. Gives the batsman time to just leave the ball alone.
98 for 3, and here's Abbott again, up to the wicket, balls outside the off stump, and a tight decision to leave from Lawrence. Really, Abbott bowling a very testing line here, and that one he did decide to leave. It was sufficiently wide of off stump, but typical of Abbott this, who just keeps probing away with a very, very disciplined line and gets his rewards. Must have been a fine spell from him last Sunday at Worksop.
Yeah, especially after tea the first day. Yeah. Just sort of blew the tail away, really. But that's the length, isn't it? That's the length where it's just doing a bit, and the batsmen are quite uncertain coming forward.
Here's Abbott again. We've got a straight short mid-off at the moment, as that delivery is outside the off stump, and again, sort of late decision by Lawrence. He again negotiates it well. It was close to off stump, but again he made a late decision to have nothing to do with that. But really very, very testing bowling from Abbott, and Hampshire striving for what will be an important breakthrough at the end of the day. They've really made Essex work here. 20 behind Essex, 98 for 3. Lawrence 18, Bopara 19.
What makes them good leaves is they're nipping back.
Yes, and that's what's these fine judgment calls all the time.
Well, it is, but I think unfortunately what's hindering Abbott is something sometimes that he wants. He's having a chat with Lawrence at the moment. He loves a chat out in the middle, Kyle Abbott, that's for sure. The thing that bowlers love is actually at the moment, I think, hindering him is that it's bounce. So actually Wesley can leave it knowing that actually, even though it's nipping back, it's bouncing. In some ways you want the ball to keep a little bit lower in a way, or certainly from time to time.
I'll just do one more over and then bring David back in, as here is Edwards bowling outside the off stump and left alone by Bopara. So we've got a period of play here where essentially Essex are looking to resist. Run scoring is not significant at this point, making sure they go in 3 down, get a start tomorrow, hope for better batting conditions, less cloud cover, and look to try and get a sufficiently big first innings that they only have to bat once in the game, with Simon Harmer to come again. Hampshire needing to, we feel, probably get another wicket or two this evening. They'll settle for 1 now, I think, and that will have just reversed some of the damage done in the first 2 sessions. Edwards from the Hayes close end bowls to Bopara, who comes forward and plays defensively back down the pitch, and there's no run. The openers put on 53 before 2 wickets fell very quickly, and the space of actual fact it was just 2 wickets in the space of 5 deliveries. The penultimate ball of the 21st over Cook was LBW to Fuller for 15, and then the third ball of the 22nd over Nick Brown, LBW to Barker for 1, and it was only 4 overs later that Tom Westley went bowled by Barker for 8. Very good spell from Keith Barker from the Hayes close end. Here's Edwards bowling to Bopara, who digs out a full length delivery and just plays it out towards Aaron Donald coming in from the gully with the sun hat on. Well, at least he's got some sun for the sun hat now, and there hasn't been much today. 2 slips of gully, backward point cover, mid off, mid on, and a fine leg. It's also a deep, quite square mid wicket, almost like doubling up as a deep square leg for the miscued stroke from Bopara, should there be one, off the pace of Edwards. Nice sunshine now, just coming out from behind the cloud away to our right, turning into quite a bit chilly but nice June evening. As here's a short one from Edwards, which goes by around about almost chest height, from left alone by Bopara, but he got some bounce there. Bopara had nothing to do with it, and the sun coming out even more brightly, fully from behind the cloud.
It's the first short ball we've seen, I think.
Yeah, he's not put that in the repertoire too much this evening. So 5 for 23 for Simon Harmer, and continuing his great run, particularly at Chelmsford this year. Generally, of course, but particularly at Chelmsford, as Edwards bowled us outside the off stump, and Bopara again has nothing to do with that one. And yeah, Simon Harmer, who'd sort of has been getting wickets here regularly in the last 3 seasons, but really making a habit of it once again this year, and now has a total of 35 wickets, 5 in this innings, so 35 wickets at an average of 19.4, and roughly 2/3 of those, maybe a bit more actually, maybe a bit more than that at Chelmsford, as here's Bopara playing up into the offside, and there's no run. It's probably a slightly higher percentage than that. He does obviously get more wickets at Chelmsford, because clearly opposition sides playing at home are keen not to prepare a surface that's going to be to his liking, as indeed the one at the Aegeus Bowl wasn't. He was pretty much a bit part player in that game at the start of the season. Right, 98 for 3, maiden over from Edwards, 19 Bopara, 18 to Lawrence. Look forward to being back on Tuesday, when I think we'll still be in action here, and it's going to be Kevin to take you through to the close in company of David Brett.
Thanks very much, Nick. Got an email here, sullencricket@gmail.com. We've also got Mason Crane coming on into the attack. Simon says, greetings to you and the team from the Swiss Alps, where it is a sunny evening, and I'm listening on my balcony with a beer, in brackets of course, overlooking Lake Lucerne and the mountains beyond. Just tuning in, so please can you give an overview as to why Hampshire winning the toss and batted first? Pitch looked good, question mark, wrong decision, be it all in hindsight. I like the conversation with Nick, read the 100, starting, God forbid, next year. My take, bring back Sunday League 40 overs per side on a Sunday afternoon. Oh yeah, we love that. And 1 game live per week on terrestrial TV. Got me into the game all those years ago. Special hi to Nick, we were pals at school together.
Oh yes.
Simon Medley.
There we go.
There you go, he remembers apparently. He's just said, oh yes, from the back of the box. Winning the toss and batting first, we all came up with sort of three-ish suggestions, 2 suggestions. One was perhaps just getting through the first couple of hours, because maybe the weather hasn't been as good today as we all thought it would be, but I think the feeling was that with a whitish pitch, maybe it wasn't going to get any better. That's usually another reason. as Mason Crane comes in and bowls to Darren Lawrence. First over of leg spin, that's cut away, it's short, it's gone to deep point where Russo fields is a single, 99 for 3. Probably Hampshire also, with the record they have here, which is poor in all forms of the game, probably felt that if Essex got through the first couple of hours, if they'd have batted first, then maybe Hampshire might have struggled later on. My feeling as the day's gone on actually is that probably Hampshire feels that the pitch isn't going to get any better, Dave. I don't know about you. Crane bowls, and that's swept away by Bopara towards backward square leg, fielded by Frieda Leopards, and that's the 100 up. And it's come up in the 41st over. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, possibly. Only time will tell, I suppose. There's some footmarks being created that's certainly scuffing up a bit, which suggests that Harm's going to be a threat in the third innings.
As opposed to the first innings. Here's Crane bowls, and thick inside edge from Lawrence. Looks for a single, no says Bopara, goes out on the leg side.
He was only just warming up then.
Yeah. Just setting Hampshire up for the second innings, wasn't he?
A few looseners.
Yeah. He bowled very, very well. Got the ball just to bite a bit in the pitch, didn't he? A bit of bounce. Bowling the same end that Kyle Abbott has just been bowling from, where Crane's taken over. He's bowling the same end as Harmer, as that's pushed to mid-wicket by Lawrence, and there's no run, fielded by James Fuller, who bowled a really good spell after tea. So those sort of reasons, really. It'd be interesting. I'm obviously going to speak to the Hampshire camp after the game. I'll put that interview up on our Twitter site at Southern Sport and have a listen. Crane bowls, always a bottom edge, and it's gone past Rahane at first slip, so it'll go for a single. That's 101 for 3.
Bit of a nothing shot, that, wasn't it? Just sort of hung his bat out.
He did a bit. And Lawrence moves on to 20, I think that is. I think the scoreboard to the right is a little bit slower than the scoreboard to the left, isn't it? You guys are probably used to that. I'm getting used to it. Crane bowls, and it's slightly short, and that's cut away by Bopara, but giving himself a bit too much room, falling away to the leg side, and reached for it in the end. Didn't get any power on the shot, hits it out into the covers, end of the over. 101 for 3, and we have 7 overs to do in the day.
And the best weather of the day.
Yeah, could go on for about another 20 odd overs, couldn't we, really? I don't know why we don't. I think the umpires should say, look, we can make up some, because we're going to be making up overs tomorrow, aren't we, now, because of the
how many
lost
we've
today.
fallen about 13 short, haven't we, today? 13, 14.
So it'll be a longer day tomorrow, and we could have been doing it tonight, because you're right, it's there are some white fluffy clouds around, but the sun is out, long shadows, and James Fuller at the far end.
Why don't they just start like half an hour earlier?
Yeah, could do, rather than go on to the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably could do. Because strong sunshine now.
It's sort of what they do abroad, don't they?
Do they?
Yeah, in Australia and South Africa, they tend to start earlier rather than let it go on later. People just want to get away, don't they? Get away, get home.
Yeah. Well, you're itching to get across to the park.
Yeah. Those tunes don't last forever.
Here's Fuller, bowling to Lawrence. Lawrence drives, it's in the air, but it's safe. There's nobody at cover point. There is a deep cover point, that's Mason Crane.
That was an ugly shot.
Reached for it.
He did, yeah.
I'm not sure a cover point actually would have grabbed that. I think it was probably 2 or 3 yards at least in front of, I say 2 or 3 yards, that's not very far in front of the square, maybe a few more yards than that, but I don't know, maybe a cover point might have had time to get across. I don't know. We'll never know. 102 for 3. But Para back on strike, he's on 20. He's Fuller. He's bowling the opposite end, always playing a missing outside the off stump. It's just nibbled away on the seam.
This pitch has got something in it, isn't it? There's bowlers always seem to be in the game. It's good.
Yeah. It is. If you're Essex. Still 7 wickets in hand and getting close to Hampshire's first innings total of 118.
Yeah, easy to say now, but Bopara and Lawrence seem to have played this quite well.
Played very well, haven't they? Fuller again, slightly full of length. That's driven up to mid-off, and there is no run.
There's been a few player misses, but in general they've played fairly riskless shots. They haven't been reckless. I'm thinking of when Rousseau swung across the line to Harmers. You haven't seen any of that from the Essex players so far.
Also, it was a bit loose outside the off stump, and he reached for it a little bit.
Yeah.
caught in the gully.
Just trying to keep the concentration now, coming towards the end of the day.
38-run partnership between these two. Bopara pushes that square on the offside. Quickly in is, I think that's Ian Holland, substitute fielder. Still haven't worked out who he's on for yet, actually. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's none of the main bowlers, so that's all that matters.
Is Sam Northeast out there? I haven't heard his name all afternoon.
Good shout. I shall have a quick scan. Maybe a longer scan, actually. Legs ball, that's nipped back as well. My word, that's nipped back. Good lead from Lawrence. You're right, I can't see him out there. Mason Crane at deep point. He's not in the slips here because it's Donald. Well, I'm going inwards towards the keeper. Donald, Weatherly, Rahani, Allsop, Barker at mid wicket, Edwards at mid off. Who's at mid on?
Yeah, I can't see who's a mid on off. Our fine leg is Rousseau, isn't it?
Maybe he's got a sun hat on, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a mid on, is he? Maybe Abbott's off. There's a drive up to mid off. There is no run. It's Northeast at mid on, he is. Northeast at mid on.
Okay, so it must be Abbott.
So it must be Abbott's off.
Yeah.
Just having a quick break by the looks of it. End of the over. 103-4-3. Essex trailed by just 15 runs on the first innings. This game certainly moved rapidly forward. Another day like this tomorrow, and it certainly won't go 4 days. Well, it won't go 4 days. I mean, you guys were saying that it very rarely goes 4 days here. It's going to be Mason Crane to bowl his second over. First over went for 3.
Struggled a bit with his length, though.
Yeah. This is the thing, isn't it, with the leggies? That's why I was saying that Richard Shelley was asking a couple of times on the tweets why Mason Crane hadn't been in the attack until nearly the 40th over, or getting on towards it.
Yeah, get him in the game earlier.
Yeah, it's just basically with leg spinners, you're not quite sure if they're going to drop into a line and length, and all that hard work can be undone within 2 or 3 overs. Crane was just about to bowl and obviously not happy with something. We are into the last 6 overs of the day. As Crane comes in and bowls to Bopara. Bopara on the back foot. Steers that into the ground on the leg side. Slight inside edge on that one.
Feels like he's got quite a long run up, doesn't he? Well, does for me anyway, Mason Crane, for a leggy.
Got a tweet here from Pete. I'll come to that in a moment. It's flighted. Bopara pushing forward out square on the offside. Pete says at Solent Sport, any news on why Hampshire wouldn't release Berg for Italy's T20 World Cup qualifiers when he's not even in the squad for this match? Pete, first of all, I didn't even know. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. I will ask. I would have thought that it would only need one injury to a bowler and Berg would be the next man in. I would have thought. It's pushed out towards extra cover, although Ian Holland seems to be sneaking in from time to time. So I would have thought that Gareth Berg would be needed here at the moment. But I will find out for you, Pete. That's probably the reason. I would have thought that's usually the reason. Is Crane again, driven into the ground, fielded by Crane. Didn't even know Italy were involved in T20 World Cup qualifiers, but he's played for Italy before, as has Dave Bracegirdle, who likes telling me, the Nottinghamshire commentator. Him and Gareth Berg have got that in common. There's a nice drive down the ground. It's going to be 4 runs. Over pitch there from Crane. Driven nicely by Bopara. Always had a shot for the bad ball, hasn't he, really? Even though he's been very watchful, as has Darren Lawrence. Bopara, you always feel that balls like that he's always going to put away.
Yeah, he's still a class act. Certainly at county level.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a lost ball. Wedged under
Really?
somewhere.
Gosh.
Oh no, it's come back.
107-4-3 in that huge defeat of Essex's in the first game of the season by Hampshire by an innings. Bopara still managed to get 100 in the second innings, and he was 37 not out in the first innings, so he certainly played more than his part. That's a no ball by Crane as that's steered out behind square on the leg side. They may take Fidel Edwards on. They are. Edwards running in towards the umpire, so he had a lot to do. And I think Bopara realised that. No ball as well.
Criminal for a slow bowler.
They're looking forward to an Essex lead tonight, aren't they, the crowd? 111 for 3, they'll get it as well. Crane bowls, but Parra on the back foot plays that quite easily. Crane just kicks it away towards northeast. That short extra cover at the end of that over. 5 to do, 111 for 3. Essex trail by 7.
Yeah, nothing too threatening from the leg spinner so far. Parra in particular dealing with Mason Crane quite comfortably. Just feeling his way into the game, it feels like, Mason Crane, but it's just a shame it's so late on in the day.
And I was saying earlier as well, you know, Harmer and him are totally different bowlers. Totally different bowlers. And, you know, Harmer found that sort of length, didn't he? That was difficult for the batsman to play. Crane's not quite in that groove yet. Here's Fuller in the evening sunshine here at Chelmsford. That's driven up to straightish mid on. Abbott's back on the field. Fielded by him, but not before they complete a single. 112 for 3. Lawrence moves on to 22. Nice little lead tonight with 7 wickets in hand. Essex will feel that's a really good day, won't they? You guys will feel it's a good day for Essex, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think even if they lose a wicket now, I think they'll be reasonably happy with the way things have gone, certainly in the last hour and 10 minutes or so, as Parra works out on the onside. Another quick single here to Barker this time. Short mid-wicket. It was
pretty much as soon as Barker came out of the attack that the intensity dropped. And Essex started feeling their way back into the game. Obviously Barker was 9 overs on the trot by that point. But he certainly created problems from the Hayes close end. I'm pretty sure he'll open the bowling as well from the Hayes close end tomorrow morning.
And also the way Parra and Lawrence have batted, they've kind of said to Hampshire, you need to keep this intensity up. You're going to have to keep this up. Which is difficult to do, as that's outside the off stump, left alone by Lawrence. Jacob Lee Hart at Summit Sports says, impressed with Essex, recovered after a mini collapse and have batted very sensibly to consolidate their position. Thanks for the commentary, I've been enjoying it.
Yeah. It's a thing in this T20 day and age. You do forget sometimes in the longer form of cricket, it is about wearing down the opposition's bowlers. You don't necessarily need to score at 100 miles an hour. 3 and a bit and overs, quite good.
Fuller for Lawrence, leaves alone.
Doesn't need to be up around 4s, 4.5s.
No, not in this situation.
Just keep them out in the middle, keep them bowling, wear them down, and then cash in later.
It puts Hampshire under real pressure to have a really good morning session tomorrow. I mean, they needed a good morning session now anyway. They can't afford to have a bad session now anyway, but they need to have an even better one tomorrow morning. Played really well, these two. Fuller again. Bright sunshine. Best it's been all day. Again, Lawrence leaves alone outside the off stump. Always been happy to leave. Lawrence especially, both of them, but Lawrence, I think, has been impressive.
So Essex's morning and afternoon session. What about the evening session?
First half Hampshire. Second half, slowly but surely, Essex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
It's like we said, you get to a point in the game where you can't afford to have average sessions. And Hampshire have got to that point, whereas that's worked to mid-wicket. Nice. I say diving stop by Keith Barker. I suppose he needed to dive, but sort of fell on the ball really. 113 for 3, and there are 4 overs to do.
Probably was he was fielding on one of those couch strips, wasn't he? That's going to be quite painful, tumbling over.
It's the old practice nets in the morning. Joe Weatherly having a word with Keith Barker. Looks like Sam Northeast is coming over. We're going to see Joe Weatherly. A couple of off spinners, I don't think so. Might do. So Mason Crane bowling the same end as Simon Harmer did. Hasn't yet created the same problems. It's going to be Parra to face. Only the slip in, no short leg. Man on the drive, that's northeast. That's all Hampshire have afforded Crane as he comes in. Bowls, it's short and it's pulled away. It's very short. And that is going to be 4 runs. I don't think Fido Ledwood saw it actually.
He didn't, did he?
That backward square leg. It took him a while to get going. And that, as you can probably work out from the applause, is the score's level.
50-run partnership.
Oh, and 50-run partnership as well.
Score's almost level.
Almost level, sorry, yes.
Yeah, that's he struggled a bit so far, Mason Crane. Yeah, I think, well, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, he didn't pick it up, but maybe he wasn't concentrating. Fidel.
Well, yeah, I think sometimes, with the bright sunshine, he's fielding in the shade and there's bright sunshine out in the middle there. In fact, most of the ground, apart from where he is, actually, that's driven out towards extra cover. There's no road. In fact, there's a very small part of this ground that's actually in shade, and he's found it. That deep backward square leg. Virtually, I would say 97% of the playing surface is in sun. Crane, flighted, and that's driven high over mid-off. That could be 6, flat, and it is. Lovely shot, Ravi Bopara. It was in the slot, but he played that very nicely indeed. That is the lead. Pete, coming back about the T20 Europeans at Senate Sport, he says it's the European regional finals, or region finals. Italy are doing pretty well without him. This is Gareth Berg. They've won 3 out of 3 so far, and Germany have Craig Machida in their squad. Nicky Morgan all-rounder. Off the back foot, punched to northeast at short extra cover. So the lead for Essex is 5, with 7 wickets remaining. Green again was just about to bowl and stopped. So Hampshire will just want to get through these 3 and a bit overs and then have a think about just how important tomorrow morning is going to be. That's a nice tickle down the leg side by Bopara. It's gone very fine as a chase for Fidel Edwards to his right this time. I think he picked that one up. Throw into Alsop was horrible, bounced in front of him and it bounced off his pads. Fortunately, Rahani was alert to it and picked up the rebound. Otherwise, there could have been an extra overthrow. That's a frustrating throw, that from Fidel. Oh, and he kept it low, actually, to be fair to him. He kept it low, didn't he? Because the sun's on the right-hand side, so I'll take that back. Here's a Crane, bowls, and Bopara on the back foot, steers that out to point. That's the end of the over.
If there is turn out there, it's very slow. Bopara seems to be playing Mason Crane with a lot of time.
Yes, isn't it?
Which is not what you say when Harmer was bowling, but again, as you say, different bowler.
And I think Mason Crane will be just frustrated because he'll have seen Harmer basically make it very hard for the Hampshire batsmen. I mean, they struggled against him at times. And yet he hasn't been able to create the same, and that I know he'll find that frustrating because he's bowling the same end, but as I said, they are different type of bowlers. So 125 for 3, 3 overs to go. Here's Fuller bowling to Lawrence. It's 22 not out. Bopara's moved on to 40, by the way, the non-striker. That's cut away down towards deep point. Crane will come in. Keep it down to 1. It was a nice loud call from both those, wasn't it?
No risks now for this Essex batsman. What are we? 3 overs left.
And 62 these two have put on. The run rate has just slowly increased as well. It's just over 3s, this partnership.
It's the point we were trying to make, wasn't it? You don't need to be chasing every single ball.
No.
You still get up over 3 comfortably.
Just back like this tomorrow. Outside the off stump of Bopara.
No rush, so much time in the game, isn't there? And with the lack of, or currently forecast, a lack of weather about.
Well, Hampshire need wickets, there's no doubt about it now. They can't afford to just plug away. They've been plugging away for a while and it hasn't worked against these two. Here comes Fuller again. It's a bit more full as it goes out towards Donald. He's fielding in the covers now. A lead of 8. Could very easily be, I don't know, 15, 16 tonight. Doesn't sound a lot, but with 7 wickets in hand, it does make Hampshire's job tomorrow morning, where they cannot afford to have a bad, even part of the session really. Certainly can't afford to have a bad session. Here's Fuller, and Bopara picks up a quick single. It's gone to Donald's left in the covers. Throw is going for extras.
Oh no.
No, it's backward square leg. Abbott does the fielding, coming round from fine leg. They pick up 3. Positive running between these two as well.
Yeah, I think the fielder was well within his rights to go for that. it was just a risky one because he had to hit the stumps because the backup fielder wasn't in position.
It's Russo. Those are annoying little incidents as well, where Hampshire have been frustrated over the last hour and 20 by not taking a wicket, hour and 30 nearly. And in a close game like this, or has been so far, it's worked away on the leg side by Lawrence. Chase for Russo up towards the deep square leg boundary, picks it up 3 or 4 yards inside the rope, 2 runs. It's just these little moments now. Hampshire just need to keep a rein on this. They don't want to have a poor 3 overs at the end, because it will just give Essex, the momentum going into tomorrow morning.
So what's for dinner tonight? Is it going to be curry?
No, I struggled to get down that pie and chips, if I'm honest. There's not a lot of choice, is there?
No, what, from the pantry?
Yeah. It's burger, pie,
or curry,
or Thai curry. I think it was a Thai curry as well. That's off the bottom of the bat of Lawrence. It goes out towards square leg. End of the over. 2 to do. Essex 131 for 3. I might have to bring a salad in or something.
Well, the other day they did have katsu chicken.
I've had that here before.
And also they did have fish and chips. So I suppose it depends what day you catch them on.
Yeah. It's quite heavy though, isn't it? It's
heavy stuff, yeah.
It is heavy stuff.
I think light and healthy.
No.
I suppose the curries aren't too bad.
It's nice, but I don't know. It's just the pie and chips was just about all I could manage. It was just, after having a curry last night, it wasn't really ideal. But anyway, not sitting around all day talking doesn't help. That sort of diet. So Mason Crane to bowl the penultimate over of the evening. Going to be quiet in the field, Hampshire. Here's Crane, bowls to Bopara. It's short, and Bopara works that up to deep mid-on, where Donald would do the fielding. Yeah,
marked contrast to when they took that 3rd wicket, bouncing around all over the place.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating time for them, but Bopara and Lawrence are batting absolutely superbly. Have played the situation exquisite. Just taken the whole sting out of the whole situation they have. That's worked up to Donald, who's slightly deep again at mid-on. And they've done it in a way that, if I'm honest, if I was out there, I'd find it quite annoying. There's partnerships and partnerships, and in the situation that Hampshire had, Essex at 64 for 3 quick wickets, or fairly quick wickets. It's a googly there to Bopara. He's pushed it out on the offside. Just the way these two have played it, almost as if, what's the problem?
I mean, at one point, both these were going at less than, about strike rate of 30.
Yeah. They've done it so well, haven't they? Yeah. Minimum of fuss. Flighted, driven up to mid-off for a single.
No, they're just knocking off the runs.
No. It's a partnership where I just want to get off and to say, okay, you have it. You have this bit. Have it. We'll come back tomorrow morning and we'll see what happens then. This is the bit that used to annoy me about the game, really, if I'm honest, when I was out there fielding. That's flighted, and it's driven out to extra cover, fielded by Barker. No run, actually. They haven't taken a risky single, which it might have been if they'd gone.
Would you have gone, look, you can have 3 runs for the next 10 overs, and we'll just go off the field and come back tomorrow?
Well, it's just annoying when two players are playing as well as this, Oh, again, Crane has stopped in his action. When 2 players have played as well as this and taken the sting out of the situation, and taken a situation where you felt, well, we really needed it. We could have had another 2 or 3 wickets here, and they've played as well as they have. I just used to find these really frustrating, these partnerships. Oh, there's a low full toss, and that's wider mid-on. I don't think Donald's going to chase that. He isn't. And Mason Crane finishes that over.
He's not
seizing the boundary.
Well, he bowled 4 overs, is it? I can't quite see the sun's in right in my eyes.
Yeah. For 30.
Yeah. He's not had a happy time of it, those last 4.
And I know he'll feel bad, as I say, bowling the same end as Harmer. 5 for 23. Made the Hampshire batsman struggle. And he's bowling at the same end, spinner. And he's bowled 4 overs for 30. And he will be really frustrated.
Well, he's got to keep his chin up, hasn't he? Can't get too frustrated, otherwise that'll affect his bowling.
So, last over of the day. 10 to 7.
You get overtime there, right?
Well, I should do, really. I think out of all the counties, I'm probably the one that should be paid overtime, because Hampshire are always the last to finish. Here's Fuller then. Bowls to Bopara, who pulls that away through mid-wicket for 4. As I say, Hampshire have just got to be careful here. They're just letting things, the intensity slip.
They're losing a bit of the grip, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Just, I mean, A.G. Birrell, the coach, will be, and Alfonso Thomas, the bowling coach, will be just a little bit concerned. It could very easily have happened, this situation. And they're just allowing Essex just to come away with on day one with a few more runs than perhaps they should. 142 for 3. The lead is 20. Fuller bowls, pushed by Bopara up to mid-on, and that's his half century. And that is a very, very good knock in the circumstances. That's come off 73 balls, 5 4s and 1 6.
He's enjoying himself this season. Average up around 65.
And another one that's enjoyed batting against Hampshire. And he got runs in the 50 over game as well. Him and Ryan Tendashata batted really well, that partnership, in the 50 over game as well. He's probably saying I want to bat against Hampshire every week. Lawrence drives, and it's stopped by Fuller by his foot. I think that might have been more runs if he hadn't have done.
Yeah, that was going straight down the road,
wasn't it?
Ground for 4.
Fortunately, Fuller's okay, or he seems to be walking back to his mark okay.
I always find it incredible they don't do themselves more damage with those kind of stops, because those balls are hit hard and they hurt when you hit your foot.
I think it's one of those where you, as soon as it hits you, you think, oh, has that really hurt, or hasn't it? And you think, oh, thank goodness it hasn't. But you're right, that could have so easily been different. Fuller to Lawrence, who pushes that up towards mid-on, and there's no run. This partnership is now worth 79, and the run rate, which was around the 2.5s, probably less in the early part of the partnership, is now up towards, well, it's over 3.5. Showing the benefit of having worked hard early on.
And they worked really hard as well.
They did.
It was not easy when they came together.
It's a satisfying partnership for those sitting up on that balcony.
Ooh.
Oh, now he's worked that into the gap, but I think you're right, Edge. I think he was pulling the bat away. He's done that before, actually, hasn't he? He somehow found the gap between first slip and, well, I think Rahani's more fourth slip with gully. Along the ground as well. That's another boundary.
Yeah, it's been well for the last 4 or 5 overs. I'd love to know how many runs have been scored in the last 4 or 5 overs. I mean, Crane went for 30 himself.
Yeah. 9, 10, 11, 15, 19, 20, about 25 runs in about 3 and a bit overs. Here's Fuller, bowls, and it's playing a missing outside the off stump.
That's it.
Well, nice way to finish, but it didn't happen. 147 for 3.
Excellent, yeah, so the tale of the tape, Hampshire all out for 118, Russo top scored for them, 5 for 23 for Harmer in Essex's innings, special mention to Cook as well, who got 4 wickets himself. Essex in reply, 147 for 3, wobbled a bit when they were 53 for 3, but a good partnership between Ravi Bopara and